There's something I still find hard to believe every time I see Ginger lying in the middle of a pile of kittens. These tiny little babies climb all over her, fall asleep on her back, pull on her ears and fur, and some of them even try to nurse from her as if Ginger were their mother. But just a few years ago, Ginger wasn't even sure if she was going to live. The call about her came only days before she was scheduled to be euthanized. She was pregnant, terrified, exhausted, and almost out of time. No one could have imagined that this dog, who was once waiting to be saved herself, would one day become a source of comfort and safety for so many abandoned little lives. When Ginger first walked into my home, she wasn't aggressive, she wasn't difficult or out of control either. She was simply scared. You could see it in the way she watched everything around her, as if she still wasn't sure whether this place was truly safe. I don't know exactly what Ginger went through before she came to me, but it was clear that life hadn't been very kind to her. Not long after she arrived, Ginger gave birth to 9 healthy puppies, and from that moment on, our house basically turned into a nursery that never slept. There were feedings, cleaning, constant noise, sleepless nights, and hundreds of little things that seemed to never end. But Ginger was an incredible mother. She was patient, gentle, and calm with every single one of her puppies. No matter how tired she was, she continued taking care of them. I started seeing Ginger differently. At first, she was only supposed to be a foster dog. But as time went on, the thought of one day having to let her leave just didn't feel right anymore. Eventually, I realized Ginger wasn't a guest in our home anymore. She had become part of everything: our mornings, our daily routines, and the rhythm of life in this house. I knew that if I wanted to keep rescuing animals, Ginger needed to stay. And that was when I started discovering what made her so special. The cats began gravitating toward Ginger. They would sit beside her, sleep next to her, and follow her around the house. Normally, cats can be cautious around a large dog they don't know. But with Ginger, things were completely different. It was almost as if they somehow knew she would never hurt them. Ginger never seemed bothered by them either. She didn't guard her personal space or try to get away. If anything, she seemed to enjoy having the cats around. And when I started fostering kittens that had been abandoned, were sick, or needed extra care, Ginger naturally became part of the whole process. The first time I placed a group of tiny kittens beside Ginger, I watched her closely. I had no idea what she was going to do. But Ginger slowly walked over, lay down beside them, and almost immediately slipped into what I can only describe as mom mode. The kittens climbed all over Ginger, curled up against her to sleep, and sometimes even tried to nurse from her, and Ginger let them do it all. She would gently clean them, keep an eye on them, and often sit beside me while I fed them, almost like she wanted to be part of the job. What amazed me most was Ginger's patience. Kittens can be completely chaotic. They climb on your face, pull your hair, scratch you by accident, and have absolutely no understanding of personal space. But Ginger almost never reacted. She would just lie there with this calm, steady presence that I honestly still don't know how to explain. And that mattered even more because many of the kittens who came to us weren't doing well. Some were sick, some were freezing cold. Some had lost their mothers far too early and were terrified of almost everything around them. But then they met Ginger, and somehow things began to change. I've seen kittens start eating better after spending time near her. I've watched kittens who were constantly anxious finally relax enough to fall into a deep sleep. With my background in science and medicine, I'm always trying to find a logical explanation. But honestly, there are some things that happen around Ginger that I can only jokingly call Ginger magic. Sometimes we get kittens with no obvious medical problems, but they're still weak, scared, or struggling to thrive. We place them near Ginger, and then, little by little, they start getting better. Maybe it's her warmth, maybe it's the sense of safety she gives them, or maybe Ginger simply has her own special way of making these tiny creatures feel like they're no longer alone.
That's a thought.
Over time, Ginger became the heart of our rescue without ever trying to be. People who adopted from us started asking about her. Volunteers fell in love with her. And Ginger changed my life too. Because of her, I started thinking differently about my work and how I wanted to spend my time. I wanted to be home more. I wanted to keep taking in the difficult cases. And Ginger became a huge part of that decision. Sometimes, all it takes is saving one life, and you never know how many other lives that one life might eventually help save.